Hello and welcome to another SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So, in this episode, I will be discussing 2017's thriller cum horror Get Out, from the mind of and as directed by Jordan Peele in his directorial debut. So, just a word about spoilers. I'm going to try and not spoil the overall plot and any twists in the film, but I may touch on a couple of subjects that possibly will come close. So, part of the film's charm really is its intrigue and its slow build-up around the mystery surrounding why things are happening. And so basically, if you haven't seen the film before and don't want to know any of the plot at all, then I certainly don't mind if you switch off now. In fact, I'd probably recommend it. But please do come back and later after watching the film, because I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Leave them in the comments below. So, I think I've probably said in a number of different episodes that have been kind of linked to this film that I never got to see this film at the cinema. I never actually saw any trailers for it, and to be quite fair, and to be honest, I avoided buying it, the film to watch based on basically the cover of the Blu-ray alone. Well, at least the one in the UK. And so, going into watching it, I didn't really know what it was. So, okay, I had an idea it was potentially some kind of thriller cum horror, perhaps, but it wasn't until I watched the film Us, another film by Jordan Peele, which was absolutely excellent, by the way. You can catch that review on my channel also, that I was intrigued, to say the least, about his other work, and found out that, of course, Get Out was the film that preceded it. So the buzz I got from all of you for Get Out was absolutely unbelievable following my review of Us, particularly through my post on Facebook. So I made a beeline to watch it as soon as possible thereafter. And so here we go. And if I'm honest, I could have kicked myself for not watching it sooner, to be quite fair. It was nothing short of amazing and had me gripping the edge of my seat from beginning to end. So before continuing, however, let's just get something out the way. And that is, a lot of people have been comparing Get Out to Us. And yes, whilst I do have my opinions on the two, this is a review for Get Out specifically. So, okay, if Us was a sequel to Get Out, then that may be a different story. But as far as I'm concerned, they are two different films. They have a number of similar elements in them. They are by the same director, so I've got to give them that. But the stories are completely different from one another. So I'm not going to ramble on for the next 10 minutes comparing the two. That's as much as I want to say about the two films. Well, apart from the fact that both are totally excellent movies in their own right, and if you haven't seen either of them, then I don't know what you're doing wasting time listening to me. Go and watch them now. But anyway, so the film introduces us to Chris, as played by, and I apologise for the name, Daniel Kaluuya, but who, as a sidebar, was also in the UK television series called Skins, which I also loved. So Chris is a photographer from New York who's in a serious relationship with his girlfriend, Rose, as played by Alison Williams. So serious, in fact, that he intends to meet her parents for the first time and spend a couple of nights at the house getting to know one another. Well, the thing is, Chris is black and Rose is white. And whilst that shouldn't make a bit of a difference, Rose has neglected to tell her parents this fact. And Chris is worried that this may cause issues if they don't know this up front. Although apprehensive, he does agree to go and is met with fairly welcome and open arms. There's a bit of an uneasiness to the proceedings that you just can't put your finger on. As the visit moves on, Chris witnesses a number of strange occurrences that make him suspicious of the family's intent. Now, I am very conscious that the nature of the film and some of its tones are somewhat racially sensitive, so I in no way want to offend anybody, but there is no escaping the fact that the film does present a black and white divide. The film hinges its plotline and build-up on the potential racial tension between the main protagonist, Chris, and his girlfriend's family. The film is meant to provoke and question beliefs. And it plays on this throughout, and it takes an interesting focus on discrimination. But then ultimately, it does turn it on its head. So I don't want to say too much with respect to this, as the way in which this element of the film is borne out is simply exquisite. What you may think is going on at the start of the film is not necessarily a straight cut as it would first appear. Needless to say, I think the racial undertones are delicately balanced and, in fact, add more to the suspense of the film as a whole. It certainly gives the film a depth that other films in its genre fail to accomplish. The way in which Jordan Peele interweaves the various elements of the movie in this respect is simply ingenious. I'm not going to lie, it definitely borrows some other films in similar genres. It's not 100% unique. One film that certainly springs to mind, but I can't say what, given that it'll give the game away, but it's that cleverly done and stylish in its execution that the way the plot is delivered, that's unique. The film was certainly a psychological thriller, but it was also an eclectic mix of other genres, certainly horror, but surprisingly it had strands of comedy at times. It was also mixed with another genre, but I will leave this one out of the list because it might start giving some of the game away. Those of you who have seen the film will know what I mean. All I can say is that the elements of it had a somewhat 1940s come 1950s vibe. Well, in my opinion. The movie was all about the slow build of tension between Chris and Alison's family. It was certainly intriguing to watch. However, if you are after gory, non-stop action, then this isn't what you'll find in this movie. In fact, the movie does have this element, but it's practically over before it starts. One thing that has surprised me is just how well Jordan Peele intermixes the comedy into that thriller element. Now, I know he's a comedian. I didn't know that when I watched us, but so the comedy should be a fairly natural thing to do. But comedy in a thriller is something which, in my opinion, is something that is hard to get right. It can be over the top, stupid, and off balance with the whole mood of the movie. And somehow in this, and of course us, he managed to present the comedy in such a way as to lighten certain scenes and give it a different kind of edge without deterring from the macabre scenes unfolding in front of you. It doesn't feel out of place in the film at all. I did actually get in trouble for laughing at parts I shouldn't have been laughing at. Apparently, when I watched this with Leslie, my wife, perhaps that's just my morbid sense of humour coming through. I don't know. You're going to have to let me know if you've got some laughs out this dark comedy elements too. I can't be on my own, surely. So, the music, as composed by Michael Abels, sets the scene of the movie fantastically. Right from the very start of the movie, it gives a very sinister feel. Like you know something's not quite right. So overall, for me, this was an absolutely excellent movie with some real interesting concepts and with just the right mix of thriller, horror, intrigue, comedy, and a dash of... It was extremely well crafted, and although I found it did borrow elements from other films, it still seemed fresh, relevant, and provocative, enough to capture your attention from start to finish, with enough mystery and compelling story to keep you hooked. Do I recommend it? Well, yeah, absolutely. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you do like my reviews and general movie discussions, please do consider hitting that subscribe button below, one way or the other. Please do leave a like. Please do leave any comments that you wish on any of my videos on the channel. I do hope to see you again on another SciFirst Movie Talk episode. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.